The good life, full of fun, seems to be the idea.
Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Exciting day today, always an exciting day in Joe's kitchen. We are gonna make one of my favorite little things, my little memories back when I was a kid, and my grandmother and my mother used to make apple fritters. I love apple fritters. So we're in Casanova, New York. It's mid-September. It's just starting to give that feel, that sense, that smell of fall. So I'm really excited about that because it's my favorite time of the year when it comes to foods and traditions and holidays. So today I'm excited because we thought we'd get a jump on one of those favorite little recipes, one of those favorite traditions in our family. So we're gonna make apple fritters. So what do we got going here? One is we've got 4 apples. So I already started, I'll show you how I cut them. But I took 4 apples, peeled them, cored them, peeled them, and I hit them with lemon. So you're gonna see the inside's just starting to turn brown, but if you hit them with a little lemon, or you can use an alcohol, it'll prevent them from browning, oxidizing is what's really happening, okay? So I got 4 apples peeled, and then we wanna make a batter, and then we wanna cover it, obviously. So what I've got for the batter is I've got about 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 cups of flour. I've got just over a 1/2 cup of milk, okay, whole milk. Then I've got an egg, 1 whole egg. I almost screwed up there because I wanted to share with you. We got something a little different going on. We got 1 whole egg, and then I've got 2 egg whites, and I already whipped them. So what I did is some of the lemon juice that I used to put over the apples, I put in the egg whites. So if some of you guys saw our videos before, with the egg whites, if you put an acid in there, like cream of tartar, it cooks the egg, it denatures the protein. So if you use the lemon juice, which is a big thing that they would use in Italy, because lemons are certainly prevalent throughout the country, especially in the South, you put a little lemon in the egg white, and that acid from the lemon, it gives it a nice flavor, and it denatures the protein. So I got 2 egg whites, 1 whole egg. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Sometimes I repeat things because I screw it up, so just so you guys know. And I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, sea salt. I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon. Yes, it's true. One of my favorite little spices there, that's nutmeg. Gotta have nutmeg if you're talking Italy, right? And I've got a 1/2 of a teaspoon of really good quality vanilla, okay? So what we're gonna make is we're gonna make a batter, and then we're gonna take the apple, I was gonna say the egg, take the apple, we're gonna batter it, right? And then we're gonna fry it, right? And then right when it comes out, we're gonna put it on the rack, and then we're gonna take it right out. We're gonna put it in some sugar and cinnamon. So what I did here is I have 1 cup of granulated sugar, and I got about 1.25 tablespoons of cinnamon, really good quality cinnamon, all right? Isn't that great? Doesn't that sound fantastic? Oh my God, now as far as olive oil goes, it's not an ingredient in here, but don't be shy. Jump on our website or Facebook. You can go right on Amazon and grab our Vito and Joe's extra virgin olive oil right from the Puglia region. You can see that beautiful green color from the fruit. Absolutely delicious. And those are my 2 kids. So every once in a while somebody asks me, like, who's Vito and Joe? Vito is my youngest son, and Joey is my oldest son, who's actually going to culinary school in Milan, Italy. He's starting in a couple weeks, so we're really excited about that. So that being said, let's get started. I'm going to grab my bowl here. I'm going to grab my bowl, right? And I just got a strainer, and I'm going to, if you will, fluff up my flour. That's the general rule. A little trick you can do here is just hit it. What that does is it gets out any lumps, just gets a little air in there, so you're just going to sift your flour, okay? And you're not really worried about anything being in there necessarily, but at least you hope that. So, and we got some great music today. It's one of those beautiful end of summer, feel of fall. You want to have soup. I was talking about soup today with my camera person, so she was all excited about making soup today, but instead we decided to make my apple fritters. Now I'm going to tell you, there's a little bit of an extra secret treat coming at the end of this video for those of you guys that are going to hang on. So, okay, so all right, so there's our flour, and then what we want to do is we want to make sure, one of the really important ingredients that you want to make sure is well incorporated, and that's your baking powder. So your baking powder gives it lift, okay? And when I say that, what it does is it creates bubbles. So one of the examples I always use, because it's a perfect one, chemically, is like, oh, there's our nutmeg. Oh, beautiful. You ever make you or your kids ever make the volcano, right, with the baking powder and the vinegar? And I always like to scramble up that egg before I put it in. So I'm just going to mix everything really well here. Usually I fork it, you know, with the dry ingredients. And some of you guys are thinking that, but there's such a small amount of flour in here. It's not going to really make a big difference, okay? So I'm going to put this in here. So if you get that vinegar and baking soda, there you go. And then you're just going to fold that in. There you go. Now what all this does, it creates those bubbles in the volcano, right? I'm trying to finish my thought. So what all this does, my camera person's laughing at me. I haven't even had any coffee today. I'm telling you, that's how exciting this is. So what all this does is you're trying to create a really light batter that's crispy, right? So the bubbles that are going to be created by your baking powder, not soda, baking powder, right? They'll give it a lift, and then the egg whites will give it, beautiful, look how nice that is. It'll give it that aerated feel, which will make it crispy. If it's light, it gets really crispy, and that's what you want. Now I've got the oil going behind me. What I did today is just a traditional vegetable oil, all right? And then I'm just gonna fold it in and mix it in, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is once I get it almost mixed fully, I'm just gonna let it set. And then I'm gonna mix it again. What it does is that often hydrates your flour. People don't realize a lot of times when you're making different recipes, you want the moisture to actually get into the flour, especially when you're making pastas and certain things. So it's nice to you'll hear people say let the dough rest. What's happening really, you are letting some of the gluten rest, but you're actually letting the flour become hydrated. So then when you get back to it, boy, it's so, and I'm gonna have to add just a touch more, maybe not, a touch more milk. But see how nice and light that is? So I'm going to let that set off to the side, okay? So I'm going to put this over here, and then what I'm going to do is take that last apple, just to give you an idea. So I peeled it, and then you want, you know, 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch. And one of the tricks you can do on an apple is just rotate the apple a little bit, because what you'll find, an apple's firmer, and sometimes it'll split. So when you get it across, like you'll feel it, like you feel that resistance in there, just turn the apple a little bit. And you roll it, and then as you get through it, it won't split. See how beautiful that is? Look at that. Oh, it smells good. I love apples. My mother, a lot of times, just on one of those days we were having a tough day, my mother would always pull up a plate of freshly cut apples, sprinkle them with sugar and cinnamon. I don't know what it is, always put me in a good mood. Cover it with a little lemon juice or orange juice. Oh. I'll tell you, one of the things we were thinking about, which we're going to put together here in the next week or so, is a blueberry pie. Oh, one of my favorite, absolutely favorite pies. And we make a really nice one. So sometimes we make a crumble on top. Sometimes we take a couple of cutouts of dough and put them on top just to make it look neat. Ooh, it's so fresh, you know. And then you got that lemon juice in there. So I'm just going to mix it in that lemon juice, right? And this is such a fun, fast, easy recipe. So that's all covered. See, they're not turning brown at all. Ooh, you can smell the lemon. Oh man, that's good. It's clean, crisp. I love that. Okay, so let me put that in my mess here. Let me clean my work surface. Now I'm going to bring the batter over, all right? And let's take a look at that. So there's our batter. And see, just in those, I don't know what it was, like 5 minutes? See how nice and light that is? I almost dropped the bowl, so excited. So that's perfect. Perfect consistency. Because you want it to stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, with the power TV, I'm going to shut off for a second. We're going to come over to the kitchen. I'm going to set everything up there because what I want to do is batter it, and then I want to get it right in the fryer for all of us, okay? And then I'll show you how to sweeten it after, and like I said, I got a little surprise for the end. It's going to be absolutely delicious. All right, I'll talk to you guys in a second. Hey guys, I just wanted to show you something really quick, and that is a little trick from my grandmother. So what we would always do is take a little dough. You want to check the temperature of the oil, right? So you can start to see it now. So what my grandmother always do is take whatever she's frying, she'd put it on a spoon, and then she'd set it in there. And you want to see a little action. So what's happening right now is it's just starting to warm up. It's not quite where I want it yet. And so I'm just going to pull this off to the side. Give it another minute or so, check it again. But I want to see with that wet dough, the moisture in there, it's going to bubble out, and that's going to give you a nice crisp. You don't want it too hot because then it'll brown and blacken too quickly and it won't cook the inside of the apple. So it's you got to find that sweet spot. All right, guys, so I just want to test it again. So when you look there, I don't know if you guys can see that. You see how she's starting to happen right there? Right? So look at that. See, you got those nice bubbles. And see how that's bubbling up inside? So that's the moisture, but it's also, you'll see how it starts to get bigger, right? And that's that baking. Beautiful. Look at that. That's absolutely perfect. So there's our baking powder, right? You put too much, it'll get too puffy. So, and you'll see it'll usually double to triple in size. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm right where I want to be. So real easy, I'm going to take an apple, right? And I'm going to pop it right in there, okay? There you go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And just make sure you're coated well, right? And that's it. And then set it right in there. This is a messy job for your hand, no doubt about it. So we're having fun over here. We're making jokes. So I'm going to pop a few in here, right? And look at that. It's beautiful. The consistency of the batter is perfect. So one of the things you want to just keep an eye on when you're making these is you just want the batter to be coated both sides. You don't want it thick on one side and, you know, thin on another. So what I do is I just get it in there, submerge it right in there really well, right? And sometimes I've seen people flour them, and none of those are a bad idea, but sometimes what happens is you get too much, you start to get too much on there, you know? And you don't want to put too much on it because then it takes away. You got to try to find that, ideally, the perfect bite. So, oh, you can smell the nutmeg and the milk. And then, you know, you get that smell of that frying. So I'm just putting a couple in at a time. Just let that oil absorb the temp so it doesn't drop. You know, I don't want to put 5 or 6 in there all at once. Beautiful. Great sounds of music. It always reminds me of my dad down the restaurant. My dad always had a radio playing in the background, so did my grandmother. So now when I cook, I almost doesn't feel natural or normal unless I have a little music. They would have loved Pandora because they could have picked their favorite artists like we use now. My grandmother would have loved that. So I'm going to let those cook just for a minute, and I'm going to flip them. I'm going to show you exactly what they look like. Tune back in a minute. All right, guys, I just want to show you really quick. You see how the batter is just starting to crisp up there, right? So it's not brown enough on that back side, which is fine. Like I said, you want to rush it because you want the apple to be cooked inside. But you see how it's starting to puff up? And it'll puff on both sides. And it's nice, and you can feel that nice crisp on the outside on the cooked part, which is great. So like I said, if you have the oil too hot, it'll cook it so quick on the outside that you don't cook the apple on the inside. So you got to find that sweet spot and just keep checking your temp. All right, and this is fun. I'll tell you, the smell in here, not only is it awesome, oh, it reminds me of my grandmother's kitchen. Absolutely phenomenal. You can smell just the hint of nutmeg with the cinnamon over here in the sugar. Absolutely great. I'll tell you, I got that little treat in the end. It's going to just set it right off. What you guys can smell in here. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. All right, so what we're at is just getting to that brown, right? Isn't that beautiful? See that nice golden brown? Just flip them over. Oh, they're good. Now it's really starting to go. So now, again, the outside is getting nice and crispy and crunchy. You got that egg white in there, and you've got the apple that's inside all sealed in. So the steam that's actually right inside, it's encased right within the flour. Oh, it's going to be good. And now you're getting those like dark brown little bits in there. Oh, that's good stuff. So I'm going to let these go for a couple minutes. So we probably had about 3 minutes on the back side. This side will probably be about 1.5 minutes because it's already hotter. Right, and then we're going to pull them out of here, shake it just a touch, and then right out of the fryer we want to put it in the sugar. Then from the sugar we're going to let it cool, plate it. Joe's little special treat. Cooking in Town with Joe, apple fritters. It's fun in here. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Hey guys, come on in here. Check this out. So we're good. We're nice and brown. We're golden. See how beautiful that is? All right, so I'm going to pull this guy out, right? Now you got to move quick because you don't want them to burn, right? So I'm going to do 2 or 3 here in my bowl, right? So get off most of the, the oil. You don't have to be perfect, but if you wait till they fully dry, then the oil won't stick. That's the problem. So pull this right over. Look at that. Isn't that nice? There you go. And then just set it right over on the plate, right? You can do a paper towel, whatever you want. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And see how nice and fluffy they are and crispy? Oh, that's perfect. So I'm moving quick here because I don't want those other ones to burn, right? So here, let me do a couple more. It's so funny when I do this. My grandmother had an old cast iron pan exactly like this. So when I do it, you know, it's not just the smell or what we're making. It's just the look of it all. You know, it just brings me back. My grandmother Caroline is from northern Italy, right near Milan, and a real neat story. My son's going to culinary school right in the same village his great-grandfather came from. Isn't that amazing? My grandfather was in the army, Italian army, and my grandmother was actually a nurse, like a nursing assistant. They met, fell in love, and after the war, you know, there was nothing going on there in Italy, so they moved to the United States. They had some cousins near Syracuse, and you know, hoping for a better life, hoping for a better way, American dream. So really great stories. It's really neat when after my grandmother passed away, my dad, it took a while for him to build up the courage to, you know, go in the house and go through things. And we ran across their books where they were learning English. They were trying to get their American citizenship. So my father said they weren't, as they learned English, they said they weren't allowed to speak. They weren't allowed to speak Italian in the house because they wanted to learn English, so become Americans. So kind of exciting. All right, so I'm going to finish the rest of these apples, okay? And then when I'm done, these are going to cool. Like I said, my mouth is watering. I'm going to plate them. Oh my God, they're going to be absolutely delicious. And like I said, I got a little extra surprise treat, which is just going to send it from awesome to absolutely fabulous and fantastic. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Are you guys ready? Dun, 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 dun. Look at that, huh? When you get hot fritters, my mother used to take that with the hot fritters and put a big glob of vanilla ice cream on there. Oh. So these are great. So, you know, if they cool down a little bit, don't get me wrong, you can always use a vanilla ice cream. But to try to reheat them, I mean, it's okay, but nothing ever tastes as good as when they come right up. So let me get a little clump of, you can see the batter, oh my God, it's so perfect, right? Well, then I'm going to take, because you can see the ice cream melting right now. You don't want to have too much ice cream, right? And you got the cinnamon and the hot, you ready? Oh my God, just the smell. The apple, the nutmeg, the vanilla. Oh my God. It's so perfect, the crunch of the batter and the warm apple inside with the apple cinnamon mix and the sugar and the vanilla. Like I said, that hint of nutmeg. And you can't even really taste the salt, but there's just that hint. You got to put that salt in that batter just to give it a hint of almost like a saline feel, just so it brings out the sweetness even more. Oh my God, absolutely delicious. This is fantastic. What I'm going to have to do is have the camera person, along with my son, take that away, because unfortunately I'll just sit there like watch TV and I'll eat the whole thing before you know it. You reach across. You ever do that with cookies? And then you're like, oh my God, where'd they all go? I know exactly where they went. So, guys, awesome recipe. Enjoy fall, one of the best times of the year, certainly here in upstate New York. Beautiful Cortland apples that we just had today and made a apple fritter a la mode. Absolutely delicious. In the meantime, don't forget, jump on the website, grab some of our oil, check out our YouTube channel, certainly subscribe to future recipes, spend some time with your family, share your heritage, set some traditions. Have a great week. Until next week, bon appetit. Talk to you guys next week.
It's the good life.